Good evening. I'm calling this meeting to order. The time is 5:30 p.m. In accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Act, Texas Government Code, Chapter 551. This meeting is officially open with a quorum present. This evening, students from Alice Carlson Elementary School will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. In just a moment, Principal Janice Harris will introduce them, but first, let's each stand for the pledges.
Under God, one and indivisible.
All right.
President Jackson, members of the board, Dr. Scribner, it is indeed an honor and a pleasure for us to be here this evening. So I'd like to introduce to you our fifth grade members of our news crew, Gabriela Lopez, Catherine Williams, Kinley Colts, and Jackson Beck. Thank you for having us.
Thank you all so much. That was awesome, especially the Texas Pledge. Who was it that got a little loud out there? I love that. That was raw enthusiasm. At this time, Mr. Clint Bond from our Communications Department will gladly take the mic and introduce the remainder of our recognitions for this evening. Thank you,
I
Mr.
have
Bond.
somebody after my job.
You do.
President Jackson, members of the board, Dr. Scribner, our greeters this evening are from the Army JROTC unit at Paschal High School, where Troy Langston is the principal. If they would please stand, and we can give them a round of applause for their help this evening.
Good looking, sir.
This evening, we are recognizing and honoring parent volunteers from Paschal High School and George C. Clark Elementary. Ms. Sarah Teichler, would you please stand? Ms. Teichler is the mom of a 2018 graduate and a current junior at Paschal High School, as well as a middle school son at McLean 6th grade. Throughout the year, she has volunteered for field trips, football games, concerts, etc. In volunteering for these type of events, she helps bring people together to build meaningful bonds with other parents, the school, and the students. In addition, her degree in music has made her very important to the development and promotion of music as a fine art at Paschal. And she consistently volunteers as a band volunteer, a band chaperone, and a performance mentor. At this time, Alma will come forward and present her with a certificate. And if you're a guest of Ms. Teichler, would you please stand, please? Our next recognition, Ms. Maricela Hernandez and her daughters Fatima and Michelle. Would you please stand? Now, this is a powerful volunteer team at George C. Clark. They are always willing to assist, and there is no task too small or too big for them to take. They help with bulletin boards, lamination, copies, and food for school events. Fatima has helped in connecting community resources to the school for donations like school supplies and backpacks. Ms. Hernandez helps support all academic and extracurricular events through her support of the school's parent-teacher organization. And Michelle is a vigorous force for improvement and equality through her position on the Language Performance Assessment Committee of the school staff. The school staffers say teachers, students, and parents show Ms. Hernandez and her daughters, as experts and helpers. The Hernandez family is available anytime the school needs them. And again, Alma Poehler will come forward and present them with certificates. And if you're a guest of the Hernandez, would you please stand so we might recognize you? Finally this evening, the Fort Worth ISD is the recipient of the 2018 Annual Award for Urban School Excellence from CUBE, the Council of Urban Boards of Education. Members of the board and Dr. Scribner recently accepted this prestigious award at the National School Boards Association's annual conference in Las Vegas. The prize recognizes urban school districts for demonstrating excellence in the areas of school board performance, academic improvement, educational equity, and community engagement. In fact, the district's commitment to look at all areas through an equity lens played a major part in the profile that was sent to CUBE. Nominees compete in 3 size categories, and Fort Worth ISD won the category for large-size urban districts that's 60,000 plus students. Co-winners with the Fort Worth ISD were Charlotte-Mecklenburg Schools in North Carolina and the Jennings School District in Missouri. CUBE Award recipients are recognized in programming as an exemplary urban school board featured in the special edition of the Urban Advocate, CUBE's advocacy magazine, and they receive a $2,500 award to advance its board's goals. If you would please watch the screens.
Good evening. It's a great night to work for kids in Fort Worth, Texas, and I'm calling this meeting to order.
This is a sensitive topic.
The women and men who make up the Fort Worth ISD Board of Education are a group of diverse leaders. All together, they bring to their work wisdom, experience, energy, and different perspectives, as well as different opinions.
This is a choice that the board has to make.
Now, they don't agree on everything, but they're united in their commitment to the district's mission, preparing all students for success in college, career, and community leadership.
Please move to voting.
They also were unified in adopting Lone Star governance in January 2017. Under this governance model of the Texas Education Agency, trustees collaborate to provide a common vision for improving student outcomes and to support faculty, staff, and administration in making student-centered decisions in matters related to campus culture, equity, and excellence. Through Lone Star Governance, our trustees have created and approved the District's Office of Innovation, the Division of Equity and Excellence, the creation of a transformation zone aimed at providing enhanced resources and support for our schools with the greatest need. Our board passed an equity policy, created a Fort Worth ISD Racial Equity Committee, approved funding for district-wide racial awareness training, and supported the district in allocating resources for our school performance framework and academic improvement initiatives. And that work gets done right here. Fort Worth ISD has embraced educational equity in every area, from instruction to budget.
Talking about equity.
Our new division of Equity and Excellence held racial equity seminars for employees throughout the year, providing authentic dialogue about race and equity as they pertain to many topics through the Courageous Conversations protocols that guide their work. Fort Worth ISD and Texas Christian University co-hosted our first Racial Equity Summit to expand racial consciousness. Hundreds attended, including middle school, high school, and university students, as did parents, educators, and many others. Our trustees passed a budget in spring of 2017 that allowed us to reallocate resources in a very special way that's already changing young lives.
Please consider this
Our district was able to reconstitute 5 struggling Fort Worth ISD schools as leadership academies. These schools had been rated improvement required or not meeting standard. One of them for 5 consecutive years, another for 6. We extended the instructional day at these academies and hired highly qualified teachers and administrators from within our district. We gave them a financial incentive for their 3-year commitment. Results this summer from the TEA show all 5 formerly IR campuses improved to Met standard, most of them achieving the equivalent of a B letter grade.
We ready to rock? Ready to roll!
Our 100 by 25 Fort Worth, Texas Literacy Initiative, launched in October 2016 and supported by our board, is also taking hold district-wide. It sets a goal of 100% of third graders reading on grade level by the year 2025. This initiative became part of the larger Read Fort Worth, which is a collective impact strategy that I co-chair, along with Fort Worth Mayor Betsy Price and Burlington Northern Santa Fe Railroad Executive Chairman Matt Rose. It engages parents, grandparents, and volunteers from the business sector, higher education, nonprofit organizations, and the faith-based community. Organizations such as Read to Win, Kids Hope USA, and Reading Partners are now matching volunteers to students in all of our elementary schools to help them read at grade level. And in November 2017, less than 3 months after our trustees made the decision to put before voters a record $750 million bond, it passed with the highest voter approval margin of any measure on the ballot that day across Texas. Leading up to the vote, board members participated in dozens of informational town hall meetings along with district administrators to answer voters' questions. Currently, we're implementing a new strategic plan with board support and in collaboration with community. The plan addresses literacy and math instruction, social and emotional needs of students, building a teacher and administrator pipeline, the equitable allocation of resources to campuses, increased internal and external communication, and fiscal sustainability. In these challenging and changing times for public education, the Fort Worth ISD Board of Trustees continues to break new ground on behalf of our students to align our district's mission with effective strategies for success, equity, excellence, and community engagement.
Thank you all for rolling that tape. Mr. Ramos.
Thank you, President Jackson. I wanted to take opportunity to thank my colleagues for those that were able to attend and those that were not, because we collectively as a team of 10, including our superintendent, have done tremendous work. And it was really pretty amazing to share that experience with colleagues from across the country, where leaders from all over the U.S. are having conversations unapologetically about what it is that we need to do to shift the systems versus asking children to shift where they're at. And I think that the communications team did an amazing job. And I say that because a number of our colleagues from across the country were asking for the link to that video. And so sometimes I take for granted that we have professionals in our communications department that do tremendous work. So I wanted to thank the communications team for what you did in that video and are clearly articulating what we've been trying to do. And then I do want to take a point of privilege of recognizing a local celebrity in the room. I am accustomed myself of recognizing a lot of adults, and tonight I have the opportunity to recognize a young leader who I'd like to ask him to stand up. His name is Migo. His name is Miguel. Before you clap, I want to tell you why I'd like to ask you to give this young man an applause. He is not only part of the greeters in the JROTC program tonight that greeted everyone, he is also the president of the Pascal My Brother's Keeper chapter, a young man who also was invited and selected to go to Austin, Texas to speak his truth unapologetically about what he envisions the future of education looking like, and went down and asked the State Board of Education to give them their history from a point of liberation and something that is not currently always being taught in the textbooks. So, Migo, we tip our hat to you, my friend. We thank you for everything you're doing. You're an amazing human being, as are your classmates and your colleagues, but I wanted to let you know that we have a local celebrity in the house tonight.
Thank you, Trustee Ramos. Trustee Christine Moss.
Thank you, President Jackson. Okay, thank you, President Jackson. I just want to say thank you to our young people that's here tonight and the parents and the students. I want to say thank you also to our board. We really accomplished a milestone then. We really accomplished something that other boards across the country are attempting to do now. I want to say thank you to Mr. Ramos because he represents Fort Worth ISD on the Key board. and he's doing a fantastic job. Hoping to see he'll be president next year, hopefully. Again, thank you to our team of administrators, especially our Equity and Excellence Department, because you played a major role also. And a shout out to Barbara Griffin and her team. A great video, and all those that played a part in producing the video. You've done a very good job. And to our superintendent that led all of the efforts. So, again, thank you for all of those participating, and congratulations to our board.
Thank you, Trustee Moss. Trustee Luebanos.
Thank you, President Jackson. I want to thank the volunteers at Pasco and George C. Clark for all the work you do. I was with the Pasco band a couple weeks ago. We did a small walk, not a 10K like last year. And I want to thank the students from Pasco. I was also in ROTC when I was at Pasco, so you can find my picture somewhere. I think Dr. Skinner has a picture of me being at Pasco. So thank you for all you do.
Thank you, Trustee Luebanos. At this time, we will conclude our scheduled recognitions and take a very short recess of 3 minutes so that our guests can depart if they choose to do so. Move on to 4A, 2017 Capital Improvement Program Update. Dr. Scribner.
Thank you very much, President Jackson, members of the board, and Fort Worth school community. Tonight we are going to provide an update on the 2017 Fort Worth ISD bond, a status report. Before we do that, I wanted to recognize two of members of my team who really were integral in the transition from a traditional program manager model to what we have now, which is an owner's representative model. Our Chief of Capital Improvement Program, Vicki Burris, and Chief Financial Officer, Elsie Shiro, were both very important in this transition. They identified in the RFQ process, the need for a more responsive, nimble, proactive focus, in particular in the areas of quality and diversity. We want a quality product, but we also wanted to partner with our historically underutilized businesses. As many of you know, the Fort Worth ISD policy calls for a 25% hub percentage. This group is well over 40%, and we expect to surpass that not only in these initial stages, but throughout the program. So, with that, tonight we'll receive an update from them and learn more about this program. At this time, I'll turn it over to our Chief of Capital Improvement, Vicki Burris. Vicki.
Thank you, Dr. Scribner. President Jackson, members of the board, as Dr. Scribner stated, we'd like to spend the next few minutes giving you an update and some information on the 2017 bond program. Our agenda tonight is going to include, and we're going to discuss our timeline for the 2017 bond, an overview of our program, some highlights, our project schedule and phasing plan, and then at the end we're going to come in and talk a little bit about the new website and all the opportunities that the community and other stakeholders have to find out what's going on their projects on the campuses. Our timeline started in November of 17 when the taxpayers actually passed our bond. That's the funding for our 33 projects that we have in this bond program. From January of 2018 through today, we've been busy procuring our third-party services. That includes our architects and some of our materials testing, hazmat, and other things. Over the past 4 months, we've been working to get our procurement of our quick start projects. We have 13 quick start projects, and those projects range in price from $1 to $10 million approximately. And then finally, we are going to be spending our next. The goal is for us to have these 13 projects finished for our August 20 of 19 school to start. And so we've been very busy. That's a pretty aggressive schedule, but there's a lot of things that we have to get done between now and then. At this point in time, I'd like to present Barry Brock. He's our program director for Presidio, and he's going to go through the next few slides.
Thank you, Ms. Burris. We're excited to share this great story, which is the journey of the 2017 bond program. I'd like for this presentation to be more of a conversation and less of a presentation. So I'm going to introduce our team members here, and they'll all take part in this presentation. Let me start on the end with Gary Annison, Brian Johnson, and then Jolene Miswango. I hope I didn't do too badly on that last name.
You did well.
I've been practicing. We've been very busy in organizing and preparing this bond program. There's a lot of work that takes place in the early stages of the program to get us ready to actually do construction. Proper planning, I think, it results in a perfect program, and that's what we're attempting to do today and to get this program started on the right foot. So, as you know, it's a $750 million bond program, which is a lot of money. Of that $750 million, there are 33 projects in total. These projects require an extensive on-site, in situ inspection of the project so that we can bring the scope of the project to the budgets that's provided through this bond program. We have 19 architects involved in the program. We challenge our architects to exercise their architectural license, but be cognizant of the cultural differences of our school, and more importantly, to serve the needs of the children that, or the students that actually are in that school. Everybody's a little bit of an individual as it relates to the campus and then, of course, to the children as well. As Ms. Burris said, we have 15 quick start projects, and of those projects, you'll see them on the next page. We have 18 large projects, which are primarily the addition and renovation portions of the program. The Quick Start projects are represented here by name. Again, we're looking to bid these projects beginning in November and carrying through to the end of the year. We don't want to hit the market all at once. We want to spread them out just a little bit. This is a very aggressive, tight market for the construction industry, so we're cognizant of that and try to be sensitive to it. With that, I think I'll pass this over to Brian and let you talk, or I'm sorry, to Jolynn and talk a little bit about our HUB program.
All right, thank you very much. I'm very excited to be here talking about the HUB program and what we have done so far. The district's goal, the district's expectation is 25%. Presidio's goal is 45%. And I'm very proud and happy to report that to date, with the projects that we are at 49.54%. Very, very good, very happy. And this is basically all the design teams, the third-party consultants that we have. This is the architects and engineers. This is hazmat consultants, roofing and such, third parties. There's also one construction project in these numbers. But as far as design is concerned, 49.54% is really good. We are very proud and excited about that. But that's just the beginning. We understand that construction is coming up. And that's where we really need to get ourselves ready as to how we are going to make sure that we exceed that 45% that we have for ourselves. There are three words, I would say, that pretty much describe our approach when it comes to HUB programs as we approach construction. The first word is intentional. We have all the intention of growing capacity of the firms that are going to bid and participate on this project. We are not looking at just participation, we are looking at helping those firms grow capacity. So this is why we have spent so much time in looking at our forms, looking at our procedures, our evaluation, as to how can we make sure that we have that participation, meaningful participation, that can grow long-term capacity of the firms. As has been mentioned before, and even to this day, as we are meeting with different contractors, they are also asking questions how important is JVs for Fort Worth ISD and if they should get into joint venture. So that's part of, I think, us being a joint venture and leading by example. The other word is proactive. Every first Thursday of the month, we hold workshops and trainings at the bond office. And this is open to anybody who is interested to know more about the bond program and what's coming up. And in these workshops, we talk about how can the companies get certified, how can they complete MWB HUB forms. Sometimes we call it MWB forms. We talk about how can they be registered to get information of upcoming opportunities, how can they prepare themselves. And I'd like to mention Marisol Gomez. She's part of our team. She leads our efforts for that, for HUB program as well as outreach initiatives. So we're very proactive. We also have met with at least 10 advocacy groups, chambers of commerce, contractors associations, to just pretty much have three main questions. The first question is, first, we wanted to introduce ourselves and introduce the upcoming opportunities. Second, we wanted to understand the makeup of that organization and what would be the best way for us to reach their members. And third, to ask for their cooperation, because The message we want to send out to the community is that for this bond program, for this CIP, and for the HUB program to be successful, it has to be a community effort. So we need their participation and we need their cooperation in making sure that we have HUB participation, especially as we move towards construction. And the third word I would say is we are being very strategic as to how our outreach events are being, how we do our outreach. I've had quite a few firms come and ask me, when are you guys having your first outreach event? And as far as we are concerned, we wanted to make sure that it's important for us to have, not just have an outreach, but to disseminate quality information in a timely manner so that those hub contractors can really prepare themselves as far as bidding. So we just held our first outreach event. It's a bid preview. Where we brought in the architects and they came and talked about the projects and the upcoming opportunities. And I'd like Brian to help me out with talking about our outreach event.
Thank you, Jolene. We were very pleased and excited about the quality and diversity of vendors that attended this bid preview event. This event was our opportunity to showcase our quick start projects that we have bidding, upcoming bidding in the 2017 bond program. The firms in attendance were, were amazing. We had so many in attendance, and it far exceeded our expectation. We had, alongside our 12 architects, we had 42 general contractors that attended. That's 42 general contractors that attended this event to look at 13 of our quick start projects. What that says to me is that we're going to have a great bidding environment when it comes time to bid these projects. We had 47 subcontractors also attend. We had 20 vendors alongside associations, consultants, and other individuals attend this event. So in total, we had 121 firms represented at this event. What that says to me, we had 121 businesses ready to do business with FWISD.
And if I may add, the workshop that followed after this event, the one that we have every first Thursday at our offices, it had the greatest attendance. I think people who didn't attend, or maybe people who did attend, talked about it, and we had so many people at our office trying to get more information about what's coming up. So I think it was a very positive outreach event, and in addition to that, it was also very diverse.
Absolutely.
And that's one thing that we want to make sure, that we don't just have hub participation, but we have a diverse group of people and contractors and vendors working with our bond program.
And if I may add one more thing to this, I've been doing this a long time, and this is the most active environment I've ever seen in one of these bid previews. So that means a lot of things to me. One, and this is an incredibly tight construction market right now. It's hard to find labor. It's hard to find general contractors. Prices are unknown. And to have 121, we had 247 RSVP. So 121 firms came and wanted to share this excitement for Fort Worth Independent School District. So I'm incredibly pleased.
I'll turn it over to Vicki and let's talk about our bond highlights.
Yeah, I want to make a couple of comments on the student design charrettes that we've been having. Design charrettes can involve any stakeholder group. They're activities that intentionally create an opportunity for any participant, whether they're students, whether they're administrators, teachers, community members, adult organizations, to share their ideas and for them to tell us what they would like to see in their schools and on their campuses. Well, the 14 high school projects that we've got are anywhere from $30 to $50 million each. And the people that are most impacted by this are our students who attend classes in those schools every day. So we are right now engaged in some high school student charrette activities. And that's where our design team, design manager and architects get together with some groups of students, from 10 to 15 students, and they actually ask these kids what they would like to see happen in their school. What are your common areas? What are your places that you feel like need to be improved upon? It's their space, and what can we do to help their experience at school that day? and I'll let Brian go into, he's been actually spearheading along with our design manager, Tara Grenier. So, Brian?
I read something on the website. It says FWISD goal is to prepare all students for success in college, career, and community leadership. And community leadership really stuck out to me. And, I wanted to see what we could do to help FWISD reach their goal on these campuses with the students. And coming back to FWISD, this was something I aspired to do, being a graduate at ODY High School. I remember the 99 bond program. And what I remember about the 99 bond program was there was a start and a finish. So I saw it, and I saw it completed. And I always wondered how they got from point A to point B. And I always wondered, if there was a way that I could find out what happened, what were the steps taken, and how I could provide input. And I'm happy to say, for this bond program, that we've given those students at the campuses that opportunity to give their input on the campuses. We started with Eastern Hills and Dunbar High School, and also went to ODY High School, and we're going to go and schedule those events at the other schools. And what we did was we broke out the kids and had them in different groups, and just kind of told us, looking at their lens and how they feel about their school and what's the culture of their school and what they would like to see done. And we showed them 21st century learning and pictures of their schools, and they presented to us and what they like, what they dislike, and it inspired us. These kids were very mature and honest about the way they feel about their school, and being a product of FWISD, these kids will remember this process for the rest of their lives, and they'll be able to look back when it's all said and done, when it's finished, to say, hey, I had an opportunity to design something for my school, and this was my idea.
I wanted to just close out that student charrette with a thought. I had a text come in after one of these from a principal partner of one of the firms. And she texted, "My team was changed forever today. You filled their passion gas tank for years, thank you." And so she just meant by that they don't really get to see those kids that much and engage with those kids, and they just had a lot of fun doing it.
All right, Gary.
Next, I'd like to highlight some other bond-related items, some of the things that we've been working on through the design process across all of these bond projects. First on that list is Western Hills High School. We took some drone aerial photography. This helps our architects and their teams plan for the additions that will go onto this campus. So what you see on the screen here is two different images showing what that campus looks like, what it looks like, and helps them plan for what those additions might look like on that campus. Next, we'd like to highlight Northside High School laser scanning. What you'll see on this image is, or one thing that many of you know, the Northside High School campus was built in the 1930s. It's an incredibly old structure and very, very beautiful. But one thing that comes with old buildings is many unknowns. And so what we did on this particular campus is we went in and did over 500 laser scans of the insides of these buildings to better understand our existing conditions. What you'll see on the left is a Revit model of the existing gymnasium building located on the first floor. And on the right, what you'll see is the actual scanned data image. What's really interesting and valuable about this data that we gathered is we're able to measure up to a 1/16 of an inch from floor to ceiling heights and wall to wall heights. And this information is incredibly valuable as we work through the design process, and our architects are able to access this information from their computers back at their offices. You see here the existing gymnasium on that campus and a lab space. Every dot that you'll see on that screen there is a different laser scan that took place in that individual room. So this process took them 2 days, 2 8-hour days on campus. They did it over the summer before the kids came back. But now they have access to this information from their laptops in their offices, and they are really, really happy with the end product. And then lastly on this slide, what we've shown is the end product of the entire campus, a section cut showing the basement levels, levels 1, 2, and 3, as well as the gymnasium on the far left. They have this information, and it's incredibly valuable for them as they work through this 1930s high school renovation. Next, I'd like to pass out a handout. for our program schedule. So what you have in front of you is a 6-page packet. The first 5 pages are an executive summary of the overall program schedule, and the 6th page is a phasing plan. I'd like to specifically highlight the fact that there are projects on these first 5 sheets that are highlighted in orange, and those are our quick start projects. And on our next slide, I'd like to point everybody's attention to their first tab on page 1. Specifically to discuss the Amen Carter Riverside Athletics Project. I'd like to walk you through 2 examples on this overall executive summary to give you an idea of the level of detail that we've gone through to develop the overall program schedule. In the entire schedule, there are more than 1,000 activities, and in order to better understand them from a high level, we've condensed that into 4 activities per project. So what you'll see in the top left-hand corner is ID number. That is the ID number of the particular task. Next, you'll see task name, and on Amen Carter Riverside Athletics, you'll see design and Glenn Partners. That is the architect for this particular project. Next, below that, you'll see procurement, below that, construction, and lastly, owner move-in. At the top of your screen or at the top of your handout, you'll see the timeline, and the way that is broken down into is by year and by quarter. So quarters 1 through 4 for each calendar year. So on this particular project, you'll see that the design process has been ongoing and will take us through halfway through the 4th quarter of this year, into the beginning of November, to be exact. From there, we'll move into the procurement phase where we'll advertise for this project. We'll have our pre-bid conferences. We'll invite contractors to bid. That process will take us through the 1st quarter of next year. And then from there, we'll come back to you guys for a board action item for construction, board approval. We'll begin construction in the 1st quarter of 2019. That construction will take us through the end of summer. We will turn over this athletic project August 1st of 2019. At that point, we will move all the furnishings and allow the campus to occupy that space. Next, I'd like to flip to page 5, which will be the next tab on your handout. And there, what we have is Waverly Park Elementary School renovation. So similarly, what you'll see is the same 4 high-level milestone activities of design, procurement, construction, and owner move-in. On this particular project, the design will take us through the end of October, in which we'll move into our procurement phase. Our procurement phase will take place from November 1st through the 1st quarter. We'll come back to you guys with a board action item for construction approval. Construction will begin in February of 2019. They'll take us through the end of summer. We'll turn this project over August 1st of 2019, have owner move in and move all those furnishings in. And so I wanted to just highlight 2 individual projects, but understand that you have every project, all 33 outlined on your handout here tonight. And I wanted to just give you an idea of how to read through that data. Lastly, I'd like to ask you to flip to the last page. Page 6 of your handout. What this is our overall phasing in a block diagram, and there are a handful of things that I'd like to point your attention to. First, I'd like to start in the top left-hand corner. You see 2017 CIP phasing plan. Below that, we have the date it was updated today. Below that, you'll see previous bonds sold, new bonds sold, and cumulative bonds sold. And moving your fingers from left to right, looking at the top, you'll see that we have identified all of our scheduled bond sales. So we've worked with the financial team in identifying when those bonds will sell. Obviously, we've had our first bond sale in April of 2018, but it's very important for us to keep track of future bond sales because in order to issue a construction contract, we must have those funds in the bank. So we're constantly keeping track of that, and it is what drives the creation of this overall phasing plan. Next, I'd like to point your attention to the right side of this handout. There you'll see a legend, and the legend describes the different color coding associated with the various boxes. First, you'll see design, then procurement, then construction, then owner move-in. What you'll note is that directly correlates to what you've seen previously on the handout for the overall executive summary schedule. These documents go hand in hand with one another. One just provides a little bit more detail. The other has everything on one particular page. Next, if we move back over to the left, I'd like to just identify the two columns of project and budget. And just from top to bottom, you'll see that we've identified all 33 projects, the associated budgets with those projects, and we filled in the appropriate colored boxes as it relates to design, procurement, construction, and move-in. And that is all I have on the phasing plan. Lastly, we'd like to discuss our bond website. This is something we're very, very excited about and something we're very, very proud of. We are taking a proactive approach to how we engage the community with what's happening on the bond program. So you'll see there on the left-hand side of the screen, FWISD 2017bond.com. That is our bond website that we manage as your owner representatives. We provide monthly updates on the overall program and what's been happening. We also provide detailed information associated with each individual project. And there's a couple different ways to access that information. First, you can click on schools. What that'll take you to is a Google map, essentially, with pins dropped onto the various campuses, so you can find your campus geographically if that's how you'd like to find your particular campus, or if that's what's easiest for you to access that information. Next, you can also just click directly on the Projects tab. Either way you access it, what it's going to take you to is this next page, which shows the listing of all 33 projects. From there, you'll see a quick, high-level understanding of if this project is either in design or if it is in construction. You can then click on View Project. And when you click on View Project, you'll be able to see the detailed information regarding who the owner representative is from our team, who the contractor is for that particular project, who the architect has been assigned to that project. And then lastly, below that, we'll be providing monthly updates, especially when we get into construction. We will be providing monthly updates as to what is happening on campus. Shown above is the Pascal Athletic Project, the Phase 3 and Phase 4 wrap-up of that interior fit-out. And in addition to the updates that we'll provide on construction side of it, we will also be providing periodic updates through the design process as we hit key milestones. Thank you.
We appreciate your time, and we hope we were able to answer some of your questions, and we'll open it up right now. Thank you.
And you have three on the board. Dr. T.A. Sims.
Thank you. First of all, I'd like to say thank you for this update. I really appreciate it. And over a large number of years, I would say over 25 years, my fight has been the African American and the Hispanic participation as far as HUB is concerned. But tonight, and I'm not criticizing, I just want to see a little bit more put into Black female and Hispanic female participation. As I look on your deal here, I can see Black female 3.86. And when I add this up, I can't see what the Hispanic female participation is. But as I add it up, it has to be very minute. Can you tell me what that percentage is?
0.05% for Hispanic female.
What is it now?
0.05%.
Well, that's one that I'm not too pleased with. Well, neither the Black or the female Hispanic percentages. So I'm wondering, do we have any ways of improving on those two percentages?
I would say by working with the different chambers of commerce and contractors association, we can make sure that we target African American and Hispanic females to identify in different opportunities that are coming up, and maybe inviting those firms and having one-on-one meetings with them to see if we can increase their bidding and participation on the projects.
Well, I'd like to have an update on that. When you give your next update, can you
Yes.
give me some information as to
Absolutely. Yes,
the kind of progress you're making on that?
yes, you can do that.
And as I said before, my fight in the past was African and Hispanic participation as a whole. But now it's been broken down. I need to talk about the females of blacks and Hispanics. So thank you very much.
Yes, sir, thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Sims. Dr. Sutherland?
Well, I appreciate your presentation. I'm interested to point out, I have a pretty large number of constituents that are south of Bel Air Drive and in the Tanglewood attendance zone. And basically, they are, I believe, scheduled to go into the new Tanglewood Elementary School. So, of course, the first place I looked was, when is this going to be done? And according to page 6, I think it is, it's going to be inhabited, I shouldn't say that, occupied, beginning in August of 2021. I'm not sure the community knows that. No, it says 2021 right here.
It's 2020. I think you may be, it's 2020. I think the lines may be getting, excuse me,
No, I'm talking about,
New Tanglewood Elementary.
well, if we had the so 2020, if you'd leave the grid lines in when you put the charts out, we'd be able to read them a lot better.
Okay. I can do that.
We'll do that.
Yeah, I mean, I just, it would be a lot easier, it's just, I don't know.
We'll leave the
I
grid
do
lines
this-
in.
I've done this professionally for a long time, so I'm very picky.
Thank you for that suggestion.
But anyway.
We should do that.
So 2020. Okay, so then the Tanglewood, I hope I have the right thing here. The new Tanglewood, yes, you're right, the new Tanglewood Elementary is going to be July 2020. So 2 years, 3.5 years from when the bond was passed in November of 17. Okay? I think people need to get that under their belt. It's bound to play a fairly significant role in the election coming up. It might be the most important issue in the election to a large number of people.
We need to stay on with.
I am on topic. And I'm hoping that something might be done about that, because it's.
It's not going to be our problem. It's 2020, they said that to press.
Mrs. Needham is out of order.
Dr. Sutherland, are you?
I'm finished.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Sutherland. Trustee Needham?
Thank you, President Jackson. This is a fabulous update. Thank you all very much. I know you worked hard on it, I can tell. It's the best we've ever had, and the timeline looks great, and I know you'll keep to it. The Hub report is absolutely the best we've ever had. I can't remember us getting over, what are we making for 2013, 30 to 40%? Come on, Vicki, just.
I tell you what, we'll be back the next board meeting with the 2013 COC, and I'll quote you then.
I thought, well, it isn't near what you got here, so applaud for you and for all of you. You're a great team, and I look forward to seeing the things being built, and the fact that the field houses are going to be up and running by August 2019. That's wonderful. Thank you all again.
Thank you, Trustee Needham. Trustee Christine Moss?
Thank you, President Jackson. Thank you for the report, and I think it's in the 20%, 25 or 27, 2013. But I know you've seen so many figures since then, so. But thank you for the report, and it is very clear. But I have one question. I was looking at Young Men's Leadership Academy. Now, how many years out is that? Is that 2020? Because it appears as though it's one extra year in there. Is that 2021? Because if so, that's more years than we talked about.
We've always talked that it would be August of 2020. And right now, I think where we are on the Young Men's Leadership is more, we're continuing to design at the pace that we said we would with our architect. And right now, I think our academic group, Mr. Carroll and Mr. Sines, are working really hard with TCC.
Yeah, I talked with them, and I talked to TCC also.
Yeah.
And I don't think the holdup is going to be there. So I'm just wanting to know, you're saying that would be the reason we would extend the 1 year is because of academics, the curriculum, or preparing, or how did we get to the extra year? And it's not a huge structure. I mean, it's smaller than the others. So I just want to know, how did we add the additional year? And because are the architects bogged down, or what are you saying?
No, ma'am, they're not bogged down, but we did have a delay in getting started. Access to the site has been somewhat restrictive with Tarrant County. We're being very conservative right now, and it's hard to put a schedule together when we don't know exactly when we're going to have the site. So what you're seeing today is a very conservative estimate. The timeline for the design is 108,000 square feet, give or take a few. So it's a large structure. It's 3 stories tall, and it's somewhat complex, but not necessarily a longer design period than what the others are. It's just I'm uncertain of when the start is. Now, we're working on design, we're working on concept, but we can't design foundations or the site plan until we know exactly what we got underneath the building.
Right, because I think we approved that a couple of months ago.
With the letter
Are
of
you
intent-
talking about the land, checking the land?
The letter of intent allowed us to get on site with geotech and survey, which we've done. So that process has been completed, and the product of that investigation is being presented to the architects as we speak.
Okay, well, I'll probably have to finish with you, talking with you other than tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Moss. Trustee Norman Robbins.
Thank you, President Jackson. This document that you gave us is the clearest picture we've ever received, as Ms. Needham said, that I've ever seen. And to have the entire $750 million bond program included at this stage, I think is extraordinary, and it gives us the ability to respond to all kind of constituent questions that we may have. So we realize that this will be updated as we go along, but at this stage, this is very impressive, and we thank you very much for the clarity and for the completeness. And also, as Mrs. Moss said, I personally never thought we'd get to 50% on our HUB participation, so that is very, very impressive. And as Dr. Sims indicated, we need to drill down into sub-areas of that and improve, but that, you all are doing very well. So this is very good information for us. Thank you so much, and we look forward to getting updates as we go down the road. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all so much. That was absolutely the best presentation that we've had, and it's obvious that you guys are working so well together as a team. Thank you for everything you're doing for our students and for our employees.
President Jackson, if you'll give me 1 second, I'd like to thank these guys. We have a tremendous team of very highly intelligent and skilled folks, and I think you can see from our presentation that they do a great job. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Moving on to 4B, the 2019-20 Budget Planning Calendar. Dr. Scribner?
Thank you very much, President Jackson. At this time, we'd like to call up our Chief Financial Officer, Elsie Shiro, and she will walk us through the 2019-2020 Budget Planning Calendar. We talked in recent months about the importance of getting a quick start with regard to planning the budget and also getting input from many different stakeholders. And at this time, I'd like to turn it over to Elsie.
Thank you, Dr. Scribner, President Jackson. and members of the board. So I'm here this evening to present to you the 1920 budget planning calendar, if you can believe that or not. You have a agenda item this evening that adopts that calendar, and so I wanted to give you just a brief update of the process. And so, as before, we have been using the Smarter School Spending model for student success. And in that model, there are stages of budget development. And as they get this going, we can advance the slide. There you go. We have various stages of budget development, and since July to the present, we've been planning and preparing for the 1920 budget already. And we're now into the phase of setting some instructional priorities. We're going to have to then look at our revenue sources and how to pay for those priorities. Throughout the spring and through June, we'll be discussing this budget with the board and the campuses and departments, so that by the time June 25th rolls around of next year, we have a 1920 budget. And then we always look to ensure sustainability. What's important is to build capacity and to plan for continuous improvement. Next slide. The calendar basically is nothing more than the roadmap. It keeps us on track. It makes sure that we hit key dates and key milestones along the way. And so it really is a very good tool for our department and for campuses and for the district as a whole. And so it is used, and it's valuable to us. So, as you will see on the next slide, that to this evening that you will adopt the budget planning calendar, and we will immediately begin, begin the meetings with departments and campuses, and hopefully they'll have some preliminary budgets in by the end of March. We'll be meeting periodically with the board. You'll see numerous dates, starting as soon as November, that we will be meeting with the board on the budget and with other departments. So hopefully we'll have something preliminary by the end of April, and then adopt on the 25th of June. So this basically shows the number of meetings that we can have together with workshops with the board, with the leadership team, with departments and campuses, and with other committees, much like the District Advisory Committee and the District Employees Relations Council. Every budget, has its obstacles, and the 1920 budget is going to have a few. This is a legislative year, and so from the get-go, state aid is going to be an unknown factor as we start to do some revenue projections. So for now, we're going to have to use current law. And so we go back to the 85th legislative and determine exactly, we'll do revenue just as we have been until there's some further word, probably in late spring. I take you back just to the 85th legislative session. There was no meaningful reform to school finance, and as you'll recall, the Supreme Court said that it was constitutional and put this great decision back to the legislative branch of the government. And so they put a committee together, and any number of folks who were appointed to the committee. Now, I assume they've rolled up their sleeves, and they have done some work, but unfortunately, as I sit here this evening, I don't see anything optimistic for any additional state aid dollars during the 1921 biennium, but let's hope that that changes. Another challenge that we're going to have is declining enrollment. This is updated through yesterday. Currently, we have 1,511 students down from the same time last year. Of course, we're going to have October snapshot fairly soon. This is due in large part to the birth rate, as we've discussed, and the influx of charters in North Texas and specifically now in Tarrant County. You're going to see that the majority of that declining enrollment is in elementary, but it's going to be approaching secondary in the coming years, and so we're going to feel the effect of that as these children migrate into the secondary grades. As you recall, we budgeted for a 500 student decline in enrollment, so we're about 1,000 students, budgeted students down. So I'm going to have to be coming back to you in November with a budget amendment to the revenue side of our 18-19 budget. What I wanted to also share with you is this TEA generated report. Since 2013 and 14, you'll see that there are many students who reside within Fort Worth ISD geographic boundaries who choose to attend another school other than Fort Worth ISD schools. And that is increasing year by year by year to the tune of, in 17-18, we have just right under 9,900 students who who go to other schools besides ours. And so we're going to have to be considering options here during the budget process. And so how do we adjust? What do we do? So we just don't sit idle. We have to think of things to do. And so one area is the consideration of district charter partnerships. We talked about that last board meeting. We had a presentation on Senate Bill 1882. And I went over with you the increase in state aid for students in average daily attendance to the tune of approximately 1,900 students per ADA. We're talking about sustainability here. If there's no new monies coming out of the state, we have to find other avenues. We have some great programs to sustain, and how do we do that? So we got to think outside the box. And then we also, the board did approve the operational efficiency study a couple of board meetings ago, and we are under contract with Educational Resource Strategies. That study will be undergoing and hopefully will be completed by the end of February. That is a very lofty goal, but we hope to meet it. We have all hands on deck. And they're going to be reviewing staffing levels district-wide in comparison to then peers, and also duplication and redundancy of similar services, systems, and softwares throughout the district. That's going to help us try to pay for some of our priorities. We've got to look what we can selectively abandon and/or sunset. And so we're very eager to see what results come from this study, and we're ready to provide them the data necessary to provide some information to us. So the Budget Department is working and has been on the 1920 budget under the direction of David Johnson. He is our new senior officer. He's come on board. He's hit the ground running. He's a great asset to this district. We're very fortunate to have him. He's a good leader. He communicates well with all of our staff. I think everybody agrees that he certainly is a huge benefit to us, and we all look forward to working with him during this budget process. So with that, I'll take any questions.
You have one. Dr. T.A. Sims.
Well, I was just thinking about declining enrollment. When I ride over my district, I see apartments everywhere. I see new homes being built. Where are these kids going in?
You know, when you kind of look at where off that transfer list where kids literally live in our district, you will see the majority of them are going to charters, Dr. Sims. That's where the majority of them are going. And I will provide you the detailed list. I will email that to you so you can actually see where the transfers are going.
Well, a lot of these small kids, and I don't think the parents are able to put their kids anywhere. And I'm just wondering, I know a lot of them are coming into schools in my area. I mean, we're still being overcrowded, so I mean, we're looking up the road, but it still don't, it doesn't make sense to me. Maybe I'm wrong.
I'll be happy to provide that report. You know, we have an in-depth analysis of demographics to try to put our arms around why and where and how to predict, you know, these trends. And so we do the very best we can to figure out how we can maintain these children with our very good programs.
Well, I know we're doing a better job promoting our schools and what we have. And, you know, it's got to be a reason if a kid wants to go some other place. And we're giving opportunities for great education. It's something that we must not be doing right. I don't know what it is, but I'd like for us to look into that, Dr. Scribner.
Sir.
I know right behind a high school in my area, they tell me they're going to have a large number of kids and apartments going up. And these kids, a lot of them are coming into the country from other areas, and they're coming into the schools in my area. They're not going to Charles. So I'm just hoping that we can
Yes, sir.
get this
I agree.
down right when we start looking at declining enrollment. I can see maybe us not having as great an enrollment as the growth in our city is. They tell me, I don't want to misquote it, so I'm not going to say how fast Fort Worth is growing. And not only the outer city, but the inner city. I mean, houses are going up everywhere. Dr. Scribner and I need to take a ride.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Sims. Dr. Sutherland.
Many people in this room may not know this, but a week or so ago, I sent an email to the board and also to Dr. Scribner suggesting that we ask for a presentation on the budget by members of the public and our employee organizations. People who are paying attention to this know that there is a great deal of concern, especially at the secondary level, of overcrowded classes and misplaced misuse of what do you call the people who help out with the classes, like the special ed pull-out people? And these people are not necessarily doing what they're supposed to be doing because they're covering for teachers who are not there and for substitutes that for some reason are not there. I personally am alarmed at the number of people that are transferring out. And this board and this management has never had a hearing where members of the public are allowed to come in and speak. I think if you asked if we had an item on the agenda, I'm happy to vote for setting this budget calendar today, but I really think we need to have a meeting, an opportunity for people to come in and speak, specifically to ask people why they are, what they like and what they don't like about the schedule. I have never heard anybody say that they thought it was a good idea to increase the number of classes to 8 in a period, nor have I ever heard anybody say that we think that there should be fewer, the core classes should be bigger. I have an open records request which is going to be due in the next couple or 3 days, I believe, which will list all the classes in the schools throughout the secondary classes which are understaffed. I will distribute that to the board and put it on my blog. But if you are sitting around asking why this is happening, you need to ask the people that are doing it. I mean, that's kind of obvious, isn't it? So why don't we have a hearing? Why don't we have a time? You can cap everybody at 3 minutes if you want to, but let people come in, invite them to come in and talk about what they want in the budget next year. And I can promise you they will say they do not want larger classes. And a lot of them will tell you that they don't want 8-period days. You're just killing the teachers. and I forgot my manners. It's not common, not uncommon, but welcome to you, Mr. Johnson. I hope you have a happy tenure with us, and I assure you there's plenty of work, and you will find the work part of it, I think that will be really fun. So, yeah, good. It's a very worthwhile job. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Dr. Sutherland. Trustee Christine Moss.
Thank you, President Jackson. I have one compliment, and I think this will help. Communications Department, I've watched the videos on YouTube about the great things Fort Worth ISD district, what we're offering in our district, all of the great programs, and it was not Fort Worth ISD, but it's our businesses, and I can't remember if the mayor and different groups were advertising what we offer in Fort Worth ISD, and I think those will help, because, young people watch YouTube, and they investigate schools now before they place their children there. So I think that's a good thing that will help. Also, in the district that I serve, I'm not sure about other districts, but when you have schools, especially elementary, labeled for a number of years IR, then parents try and find a way out. In charter, that's their way out. And so they move out of your district. Charter schools are free. They're public schools, and so they can move into a charter. And that's what's happening. And I'm hoping with all of the PR we're doing in all of our schools now, are not IR, well, not all, but all of the elementary schools where I serve in East Fort Worth with Ms. Jackson, we have no elementary schools that are low performing or IR. So I'm hoping that some of our students come back to Fort Worth ISD. And I think we are on the right track. And the last request I have of Dr. Scribner, would you check and see how many years has it been since the board approved not suspending students pre-K through third grade? Because I know Houston ISD, they've had through fifth grade for a number of years. In Dallas, I would like to see where they are.
Okay.
Because when you're talking about not suspending students and the absentees we have in the district, that will also help our bottom line financially.
Thank you, Trustee Moss. Trustee Needham?
Thank you, President Jackson. Elsie, thank you, as always, for a really good report. You all have some great challenges, opportunities, and I appreciate that you're looking outside the box. Did the demography firm give you the number that we used to budget this year, that we would be down 500?
Yes,
And
we used
how
the
did they miss
demographers.
by 200%?
They did, and they also missed the year before.
2 years in a row.
Well, they need to, can we get something done about that, or get another firm, or?
Yeah, we are working on an RFP
I
for
don't
demography.
need to, air that here, but obviously that's pretty big error. Messes up your budget. And sorry about that, but that hurts the district. So I look forward to seeing your report. Does it show where the 6,900, the students that aren't in our schools, does it show where they're located?
Yes.
Does it have dots around the city? Or?
I think it can get to that granularity. I'll have David look into that, but it would be good to see where within the geographic boundaries
Wouldn't you all
they're
like to
going.
see?
Yeah, we should see it by trustee district.
If you can fit them in the districts, sort of like Mike Naughton does for, Mike Naughton can,
Yeah, we will do that. We'll.
okay. Thank you very much, and welcome, sir.
Thank you.
Maybe next meeting, since everybody's excited about it?
All right,
All right.
we'll do our very best.
All right. Thank you all both so much.
Thank you.
And we're moving on to number 5, Lone Star Government's Campus Educational Improvement Plan Process, also known as CEIP. Dr. Scribner, would you like to say just a few words?
Thank you very much. I will be brief, and yes, this is a great opportunity to tie these two items together, including the item last board meeting on efficiencies. Mr. Robbins encouraged us to look at the opportunities to have someone analyze our district operations and instructional practices from an efficiency perspective. We're fortunate in Fort Worth that our philanthropic community is also willing to pitch in. And tonight's report will look a little bit not only at the operational, but more specifically at the academic. Tonight's presentation, Campus Educational Improvement Plans, is a compilation of our focus on improving student achievement and minimizing the number of underperforming campuses. As many of you know, just a few years ago when we all met, in fact, 3 years ago, we were on the heels of 24 IR schools. That number has decreased by 54%. We're down to 11 IR schools, on our way to single digits, on our way to 0. As Mrs. Moss pointed out, no IR elementaries on the east side of town. And with regard to overall growth, Dr. Sims' point of improvement, we have been recognized as one of the 2 top urban school districts in growth with an 8% growth. So the trajectory is heading in the right direction. We have a lot of work to do and need to continue to turn this big ship around. One of those ways is to have alignment with our goals. And many of you know that our district's goals are the same as this board's goals, are the same as my performance evaluation goals, which are focused on early literacy, middle years math, and college and career, now military readiness. In addition to that, tonight we'll also touch a little bit on our discipline data and attendance. Both of those not only affect the bottom line, as was pointed out in Elsie's presentation with regard to funding, but also student learning, which is the most important. Last month, the board also approved a middle school instructional coaching support, as that's one of the areas that we are going to need to continue to focus on this academic year as we head into testing this spring. And then another feature, too, that we have presented to the board and will come back later on this school year is the George Bush Institute. That partnership has caused us to look both at principal and principal supervisor, very important positions. Look at how they're performing, how we are supporting them, and how we are developing those individuals, because many of us who've been in the profession a long time know that the teacher quality is the most important factor in student achievement, followed closely by principal quality. So with that, we'll turn it over to our 2 chiefs of elementary and secondary, Dr. Raul Peña and Dr. Cherie Washington. With that, I'll turn it over to Cherie.
Thank you. Good evening, President Jackson, Board, and Dr. Scribner. This evening, Dr. Pena and I would like to update the Board on the campus educational improvement plans for the elementary and the secondary schools. There is an instructional focus, as Dr. Scribner has already shared, on alignment between the board goals, the superintendent goals, and the campus goals. All goals focus on early literacy, middle grades math, and college, career, community, and military readiness. In your handouts, you will see a frame from the elementary campus improvement plan and from the secondary campus improvement plan. In the handout we provided you, you will see that the requirements for the components of the CEIP, or the Campus Educational Improvement Plan, and the timeline for their implementation. The campus historical data is included in the plans, campus goals that reflect what we call SMART goals, so they are specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and include a timeline for implementation. The plans also include resources that are supported by the goals that are aligned to our board goals in Achieve 3000, which focuses on our literacy, the mathematical software MAPS, which focuses on the ability to identify and assess learning gaps for students in math. And then for secondary campuses, there is a monitoring process to track when students at the secondary level meet the college and career and military readiness indicators. Additionally, you will find that there are strategies to support individual students as well as student populations. And finally, it includes the personnel that is responsible for each task in the action plan. Dr. Scribner mentioned the importance of instruction and teachers being the most important advocate for students. Also, we understand that the campus educational improvement plans include progress monitoring, the T-PES, which are the goals for the principals, and T-TEST, the goals and appraisal system and timeline for teachers.
Board, as Dr. Washington just addressed, the measures that are being monitored by the Campus Educational Improvement Plan, you might be wondering, how are we monitoring? What is being monitored? Throughout the year, we have a quarterly review with the executive directors, working with the principals to make sure that budget allocations are being executed and implemented, that their professional learning plan is being implemented at the campus level, and then through the use of our formative assessments, through CNI and the rest of our groups, that student groups are being monitored for their performance, including discipline and attendance. When it comes to district support, you've also received a timeline in your handouts in your folder identifying the timeline by which principals were supported throughout the school year. They were provided with help sessions back in August to help develop the plans. The grants department also provided campus support to the leadership teams to ensure they had full information as they developed the plans. And most recently, executive directors have been meeting with principals to provide direct feedback on the plans. Their feedback has increased the rigor and alignment, as Dr. Washington just shared, to the district board goals and the superintendent priorities. Also very important is our stakeholder engagement. Principals and campuses have opportunities to use various vehicles for that engagement. The primary vehicle that's used is the site-based decision-making committee. Every school has one, and they utilize that throughout the process, starting back in the summer as they look at their data, utilizing the campus needs assessment process to develop their plans, holding public meetings with parents and community stakeholders to garner feedback, and also utilizing the Title I parent meetings as a vehicle to garner that feedback to include the community feedback. Board members, as you recall, you were invited to review and provide feedback to the plans for the schools that you serve. We were laser focused on also prioritizing the IR schools and providing you that opportunity to review those plans intensely and provide feedback. Also provided here for you today is the link that has the access to all the plans, so you can utilize that link to review and witness the most up-to-date plans as of today. Plans will be finalized for approval by the board on the October 23rd board meeting, so we'll have that information for you at that time.
So as shared in this presentation, the CEIP strengthens and reinforces alignment between board goals, the superintendent's goals, and the campus goals, all focused on early literacy, middle grades math, college and career, and military readiness. At this time, we will be happy to entertain questions.
It appears you all have done such a great job with the CEIP that you have no questions, and that is rare. I consider myself having a great night tonight. So great presentation, seriously.
Thank you.
Move on now to public comment. Let me remind you that because of restrictions by the Texas Open Meetings Act, board members may not engage in a verbal exchange about a subject that has not been posted. We will listen and take notes, but the board is prohibited from responding to any inquiries made during a board meeting on any topic not posted on the agenda. However, the board may reply with 1, a statement of specific factual information given in response to the inquiry, 2, recitation of existing policy in response to the inquiry, or 3, direct the person to visit with staff about the issue. While this board listens to concerns of a general nature and issues of common and individual concern, this board will not hear complaints about specific individual employees or public officers during the public comment session. Speakers shall refrain from mentioning names of individual employees or public officers during their comments. Any employee, parent, or other member of the public is asked to comply with the appropriate grievance policy, to have a complaint heard pursuant to the applicable board policy. In accordance with Board Policy BED Local, speakers shall have a 3-minute time limit, and we ask that you please observe this rule. Furthermore, a speaker may not relinquish his or her time to another speaker. Delegations of 5 or more speakers shall appoint one person to present their views before the board with the time not to exceed 5 minutes. Our first speaker is Ms. Sandra Shelton.
Said I was going to say something. It's positive. I was driving to this board meeting last week, or not last week, last board meeting, and I drove down, I live in Wedgwood, and I was driving down Wedgemont Circle North toward Trail Lake, and there were children, 6th and 7th graders, lying on the street, catcalling, just daring me to hit them. One young man, as I drove by and missed him, I'm not sure I wanted to, but I did miss him. And he went, and I thought, good Lord. So I came onto the meeting not wanting to confront them, and I called 911 because I consider that a dangerous situation. This is in my, 3 streets from me. Oh, my gosh. So I thought, what else could I do? So I reported it. We have a next-door neighbor chat group, and I reported the incident to them, told them what I had done. If anyone had any information, then I thought, you know what, I ought to call Wedgwood 6th grade center, talk to the principal. Well, I did. The principal was out, but let me tell you who was in. Jenny Garcia. Whatever you're paying Jenny Garcia, it is not enough. Because she listened. I don't know if she has a position. She listened. She said, Miss Shelton, she said, I think I can help you, because I was calling for the SRO officer. I didn't know what to do. It looked like a bus stop of kids. I mean, I'm an educator, been an educator, so, that's what it looked like to me. 6th and 7th grade. Well, it turns out that Wedgwood Middle and 6th grade center share a bus, so that probably, they figured it out later. She said, we don't have an SRO officer, so my little antennas went up, and I thought, this is terrible. And then she said, but if you'll let me make a few calls, and see if I can't find the something tier SRO officer. Now, I got to tell you, I figured I'd never hear from the woman. I really did. I thought, oh, yeah, bureaucratic spit. That's what this is. I'm in Costco the next afternoon at 4:45, note that time, and Jenny Garcia calls me, and she says, Miss Shelton, I have some information for you. I did find an SRO officer. I certainly did. He investigated, and you're right, that isn't the bus stop, but the bus stop's very close to there. And she said, and he has that bus now on his radar, and he got on that bus and rode with those kids and said, we're not going to have this. What I had found out from the chat group was those same kids were creating mayhem every day, and people were afraid to say anything. Well, I appreciate a school district that will help a community get some young, those kids are 6th and 7th grade. Well, they're going to be older. So I just wanted to tell you that I really appreciate Jenny Garcia and whoever that SRO officer is.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Rita Cotterly.
I'm Rita Cotterly, and I'm an advocate for youth and for the Fort Worth ISD health education curriculum. The parents at a nearby church asked me to give a 6-week sexuality course to their 7th and 8th graders. Even though these parents had known me for many, many years and I'd worked with their high school students, they were still apprehensive. Were 7th and 8th graders too young for this information? I started the first night with the youth with this introduction. I'm Dr. Rita Cotterly, and I will answer any question that you have about any sexuality topic. I will not be shocked, ashamed, or hurt by your questions. Write 1 question per index card. I collected the questions and dismissed the youth to have refreshments. Then I read the questions to the parents, and they were astounded. The students had come with these concerns. I had not planted them in their heads. If we adults, parents, teachers, youth directors, do not provide our children with sexuality education, they will get it from unreliable sources, siblings, peers, and media. When a child asks you a question, consider that to be a major compliment. They trust you. and they know that they will get reliable information from you. They are trusting you to provide accurate information, guidance, and support. They realize that we are safe. That is, we will not judge them or condemn them. Instead, we will welcome their questions and assure them of our love. Children, as all of us, fear rejection. We must have the knowledge and compassion to say to our children, whether you are gay or straight, we love you. Whether or not you're a male, female, or transgender, we love you. Being transgender is not a condition, choice, illness, sin, or character flaw. It is a strong and persistent desire to be the gender that one's brain indicates. Children as young as 3 realize that they are different, that is, they are transgender, and given love and acceptance from their parents and communities, they grow to be healthy, responsible adults. If rejected by their family, trans youth are 8 times more likely to attempt suicide. 78% of trans youth report serious harassment at school. 15% of those quit school because of it, and half of those who quit become homeless. Therefore, I urge all of us to listen to your children, respond to their questions, support the teachers and youth directors who are supplementing their instruction at home. Respond with love and sympathy. Your child is counting on you. Thank you.
Thank you. Robert Rogers.
Dr. Scribner and trustees, I am speaking as an early literacy advocate, and I'm not representing any organization. The information I'm providing to you was obtained from the publicly available data dashboard on the Read Fort Worth website. Those should be personalized to your district. Your board video tonight set up this discussion nicely, and it will make my presentation even more brief. It has been almost exactly 2 years since Dr. Scribner, the mayor, and Matt Rose announced the formation of what is now known as Read Fort Worth, which is a collective action group to help support the 100 by 25 goal. The results of the most recent STAR third grade reading assessment were recently posted on the website, and that's where the numbers in front of you have come. So the collective impact of our efforts so far are that in 2018 there were 11 fewer students reading at grade level than in 2017. We sent 4,515 students to fourth grade this year with inadequate reading skills to predict success in their future education. And now that we have 7 years of data posted on the website, we can look at students that we have now in 4th through 10th grade in total, which is on the second page of your handout. We have 33,126 students that have gone into 4th through 10th grade without reading at a proficient level at the end of 3rd grade, and I think we all have to think seriously about the impact this has on the system. Thank you.
Thank you. Willette Powell.
Good evening to the Superintendent Schreiber and the board. The rules have limited me, but so I'll just stick to just my child. My son, Garrett Ransom, attends Wedgwood Middle School for the 2017-2018 school year. He started the 2018-2019 school year at Metro Opportunity High School. He is now attending Southwest High School. Back in May of this year, I stood before you all and stated my beliefs on how the district was not meeting the needs of my son academically according to board's strategies and goals. Just my child is one of those students that was just mentioned on about the literacy. He is not to par still to this day. Today, I want to make the board aware of the issue of accountability of not keeping my son safe while at school at Wedgewood and allowing him to be exposed to abuse and neglect. I'm talking about allowing an employee back into the classroom who the school and school district knew that he had a history of singling out or targeting certain students, causing or permitting my child to be in a situation in which my child, quote, sustains a mental or emotional injury that results in an observing and material impairment in a child's growth, development, or psychological functioning, unquote. This is a type of child abuse under Texas law. A quote from the district mandatory safe school training on child abuse, which I do myself as an employee, says, quote, to help remove barriers that affect children's readiness to learn, school staff must be able to recognize when children are being abused and intervene on their behalf. Texas law also specifically requires all district and charter school employees to have training concerning preventing techniques for and recognizing of sexual abuse and all other maltreatment of children. The consistent history and lack of concern and rapport with certain students should have been at the least known and evaluated by everyone who was involved with allowing this employee back into our school district or schools. As a result to the decision made by the district and school, I'm having to make numerous court appointments and appearances. And Garrett,
thank you.
Psychological issues he's still working through. And I do have a suicide letter that I would like to share with Dr. Ann Sutherland.
Thank you. Cleveland Harris.
Good evening. I just heard three people that spoke before me on issues that's concerning that in great detail. They were all correct. The problems and issues that we have in our school system, it has to be talked about and has to be acknowledged. First of all, the first person that spoke, she spoke on behalf of sexual education. She spoke up on transgender, being that it should be brought by parents and community and teachers. True. But when you have fourth grade students that cannot read, it doesn't make sense because that's a behavior issue. The last young lady, she's telling you and crying out about the social and psychological issues that her child is going through. This sums up in one circle. We have to put priorities in check. And the priorities are, the first person that spoke, she spoke on behalf of children that have parents that care. She doesn't know that children that are going through psychological issues in the environment that they come up in, it's not that nice. Because there are sex predators out there being family members. It's everywhere. And the third person that spoke, she's yearning out to you and telling you that something is wrong when we sit up and let the same person bully on our child that's got emotional and is going through social issues. We don't know about her environment. So we have to put things in perspective. I am totally against. I'm not against homosexuality or a person that is gay or lesbian. I'm not against that. But when you start talking about sixth graders, you just burn your britches with me. That is too young to be reading about sexual behavior, and you can't even read on a 4th grade level. Where is our priorities? This is what's wrong. Our children in the 6th grade should be learning anything besides behavior or sexual behavior. Now, in some areas, in some communities, that might be fine. But when you're talking about the community that I see every day, that is not all right. We have prostitution up and down Tyranny every day. We have mothers, young mothers that are struggling, that's trying to survive. And nobody don't give a whoop about them.
Thank you. Mr. Stephen Poole?
I don't know about that, Ms. Needham, I'm sorry. She asked for good news. I'll do my darndest. Members of the board, President Jackson and Dr. Scribner, tonight on your consent agenda item number 9D, is approval for class size waivers for our K through 4 classes that are over the state limit of 22 students per classroom. There's approximately 70, maybe a little more than 70 classrooms, and that's down from last year. But just as a point of reference, our neighbor that borders just to our east has 11. And historically, Fort Worth has always had the highest number of classrooms in the state that are out of compliance. Now, we have something that most school districts don't have, and that's our small neighborhood schools, and that's a point of pride for this district. Most of them are over 60 years old. Teachers realize it's almost impossible to add another classroom to schools when there is no place to put a classroom. But for decades, this district has done right by their elementary teachers that are out of compliance by adding support or stipends for taking on additional students. This year, some in central administration decided to try to scale back on that, and that's wrong. They didn't realize the history or didn't care about the history of where we are and where we came from. But I know Dr. Scribner and his chief of staff are not that. I met with them last week, and they're working diligently to provide additional support to the elementary classrooms that you're approving waivers for tonight. So I appreciate that for Dr. Scribner. I do appreciate that. But also our secondary classes are still struggling too. We're in the 8th week of school, and we still have classes that are very large and teachers carrying course loads, art, theater teachers with 250, 260 kids that they see every day in 7 periods. So I know positions have been built to back into the budget to alleviate those, but hiring is very slow. So I hope as a district that we're also able to provide that support or additional stipends for those teachers in the secondary classes who are taking on this additional course load. Just think, some of them are about 50 students over what is ideal, what the district says is ideal. That's a whole nother class and a half every single day that they're teaching. So your secondary schools are struggling, your elementary teachers understand the situation they're in, and I really do appreciate the support. Thank you.
Thank you. We will now recess and reconvene in the board conference room. Opened the meeting at 5:30 PM in the boardroom with a quorum present, recessed open session in the boardroom, and is now reconvened at 7:26 PM in open session in the board conference room with a quorum present. As board president, I'm making the following statement in accordance with the policy BBFA local. This is a reminder to all board members of the legal conflict of interest requirements and disclosure requirements you may have for matters under consideration on the agenda for this meeting. If required by law, board members shall recuse themselves from all discussion and shall abstain from voting on any matter pertaining to such a disclosure. Are there any questions on current consent agenda items? Trustee Paz.
Yes. There are two items. One is item 9C, approve interlocal agreement between Fort Worth ISD and City of Forest Hill for school security services. And then item D, approval of the application for the waiver of the 2018-19 request for maximum class size exemption.
Sure.
Those both at the same time so they can queue up.
Okay, great. Art Cavazos will handle the first, and Cynthia Rincon will help us with the letter D.
Is there a specific question on the Forest Hill?
Yes. So, and I don't know when we approved the, when we did the agreement with the City of Fort Worth or City of Benbrook, but it's one of the things that I've been wanting to ask about as we talk about our school resource officers. And I didn't see anything on here, and it could just be because I can't read, I don't know. But we've, as a district, have made racial equity a priority. And I would like to know where we are in these partnerships with the cities of Fort Worth and Benbrook and Forest Hill, all of the cities that we have that Fort Worth ISD serves. And getting our school resource officers trained. And I'm sure that each one of those police departments has their own training. And maybe Danny can speak to that. You don't have to come up here. But where are we in bringing them in, looping them into our district goals when it comes to racial equity?
Certainly. And maybe Ms. Breed can address that a little more, since that's our program. But they would be... Right. I mean, but she has the detail. It would be with the same as a campus staff, and I don't know what level we are there.
Board, as you may be aware, I mentioned a couple of board meetings ago that we're now with our third cohort of principals in our training. I also said we were sustaining the work with two of the affiliates going into facilitator practitioners. And so that's how we'll be able to sustain. We have not completed our coaching in the process. We'll have our first BD that we'll be conducting internally in November. I can't remember the date off the top of my head. So then, to get to your point, Mrs. Paz, then that would allow us the opportunity to perhaps start with SRO officers as well as other district employees.
And do we know of any training that they're getting through their respective municipalities, their cities?
I'm not aware.
Danny?
Ken?
Sorry, Danny.
Yeah, no problem. Well, as you well know, peace officers have to keep up their peace officer certification, so they're required to attend a 40-hour training every 2 years.
Okay.
So one of the core subjects that's covered is diversity. So that is required, and they have to attend that every 2 years.
Okay. It'd be nice to know, just kind of in moving forward, kind of where, just getting a little bit of information on that. It
Sure.
doesn't have to be tonight.
Hmm.
I mean, we're going to
Right.
support this, so.
If I may, put you back with you.
Yeah.
Just so you're clear, Danny, this isn't diversity training.
Okay.
This is the anti-racist, anti-bias.
Okay.
We call it what it is.
Right.
And so diversity is very, very different. So
Okay.
I have similar concerns as well, and I'd hope that we could get that conversation kind of similar to when I had asked, are we, I know that we approve some type of a contract when we do this work. That was the question that I posed was, are our police officers going to cross-train with us so that we're speaking the same language? And this one, clearly, I think there's political stuff that goes with it, But the reality is that the work that the district is doing is super advanced in comparison to what many folks in our town are doing.
Absolutely, and I would encourage Chief Sherry Breed also to invite the student resource officers to participate. They are members of the school community, and they are student resource officers. They're officers that are a resource for our students, and as such, certainly should work with our equity training as well.
Yeah. So I want to be clear that my questions are not geared to be against our SROs, but because I think that they are such a powerful place to start, because with many of our children, they are the first interaction that they have with law enforcement community. And it's a great way to build trust and to kind of change the narrative. And I think we have a really good opportunity here to work with
We might
this,
be able
so.
to compare the curriculum and go in a little bit more in depth on what's covered, and that might make you a little.
I mean, we do understand it is a totally different curriculum, and we do understand, and we always involve our SRO officers, so they will be involved.
And to that point, campus monitors as well.
Oh, yes,
Yeah.
oh, yes, that's, yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Item 9D.
Yes, Nandi, Ms. Rincon?
Okay. This is more simple. In the past, we've received a list of the schools that are requesting rate waivers and how, like, what the differences are. Would we be able to get that?
Sure, no
moving
problem. We can
forward?
provide the list. I will share a little bit of information. We have, as of Monday, we have 66 classrooms out of compliance, with 25 of those only being over by one student. The highest we have are 2 at classrooms at 28. And of course, those principals, we have collaborated with school leadership, and we have worked with the executive directors and the principals so that the principals can be comfortable with the setups that they have with the classrooms. And we also only have 36 campuses that actually have classrooms out of compliance.
36 what?
Well,
Yes.
may I? Well, we requested the numbers, the schools, when we were in agenda review. So.
And we have that list we can share with the board.
Okay, because we requested, they were to get it for the board, so.
Okay.
Dr. Sutherland?
Yeah, the list should include the school number, the grade, the number of kids. And as I recall, they had a list of what it was, whether it was a Spanish immersion class or, I forget what they're called, but they differentiated so you could see. As I recall, the dual language ones were, I haven't looked in a couple of years, but the last time I looked, the dual language ones were vastly overrepresented. I'd also like to point out that because we lost 1,500 kids, mostly in elementary, and because we didn't cut the elementary teacher load last year when we cut the high school staffing, compared to the secondary schools, the elementary schools are vastly overstaffed. I don't know if it's good or bad or not, but basically, I don't like to think of myself as being prejudiced in favor of secondary schools, but I was a secondary school teacher, and somewhere along the line, this has got to stop. I was just shocked that we cut 149 slots in secondary school this year, and I certainly hope to have an announcement from staff about whether they plan to do that again next year or not. I'm not going to be around to vote for the budget, which you may be glad for, but I would never vote for a budget that was increasing the staffing of secondary schools. You have some very ugly situations going on that your PR people are hiding.
Okay.
So, yeah, I have the floor.
It's a
So,
rather negative, broad statement.
it's true. I mean, when we,
PR is hiding stuff.
Pardon?
PR people are hiding stuff.
Trustees, we're at 7:37 PM, I'll
Yeah.
just remind you.
Whatever.
'Cause I mean, I just think, I think no one's looking at this. I'm really concerned. There's no record of the number of assaults in our secondary schools because we don't keep records of all of them. And I know it's 7:37, but.
7:38 now. We on the subject.
Dr. Sutherland, where did
I-
did you get the statistics on the
have-
elementary? You have the floor, but I was asking you a question while you're on the floor.
The statistics are derived by arithmetic and changes, it's the changes in the number of kids in elementary and the changes in the staffing. If you look at the staffing levels, which we got last year, in March, I think it was, it's every one page for every school, you can see whether the staffing is being cut. Thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Moss, are you?
No, I was just requesting the information that we requested at agenda review.
Yes, ma'am.
Agreed.
You said you had it, I just wanted to see it.
I have my copy.
Oh, you don't have our
No, ma'am.
information.
I apologize that we don't have those copies with us.
That's a good idea.
I am more than happy to make a copy of the sheet that I have in front of me that provides the information that you're exactly asking.
That would be great. I have a question. Can we look at these waivers over the last 3 years and just look and see, are they the same schools? Is there a correlation with high mobility? You know, we've got to do better. And if our ranking is as poor as has been stated, and that we have so many of these schools, and you're looking at +1 and 25 of them are about 33%, you know, that troubles me. And is it +1 in 33% of the schools because of the mobility? And it's just going, and I see your face,
Well,
Ms. Molinar.
one thing I want us to remember is that even though our enrollment is down in elementary, the kids don't leave in packs. And so we have one in kindergarten, we have one in second grade, we have one in fifth grade. And so we can't just take a position from a school that may have lost some kids, because even if they lost 50 kids, it's more than likely that they didn't lose 50 kids in even 2 grades together. And the thing about our waivers is we actually go class by class with school leadership and look at every single teacher and see what the makeup is of their classroom, because we don't necessarily want less waivers for less waivers' sake. We want to make the environment that's best for students and best for those teachers. And so with those waivers, we just think about how many kids are in those classrooms, because we don't want them to stack kids. We want them to do what's best for the students.
That's an awesome answer. Thank you.
No, to just amplify that point very, very briefly, we encourage our staff to use their professional judgment. And what I think Cynthia's talking about with regard to stacking classes, if we were to look at a third grade at any given school with 4 classes of third grade, 22 per class, that's 88 kids. If at that school, let's say there were 95 third graders, we could play the waiver game and put all 7 of those extra kids in one class and only have 1 waiver. Or we could do the right thing and put 2 in one class, 2 in another class, 2 in the third class, and 1 in the fourth class, causing 4 waivers, but I would argue perhaps better for students and better for teachers. And irrespective of that use of judgment in the best interest of kids, the numbers in fact have gone down. Last year was 119, and today you indicated 66. So we'll monitor these, but I would also, again, not minimizing waivers for waiver's sake, and then to Stephen's point in terms of looking at support and compensation, something to consider certainly, but we are heading in the right direction. I think that it's important for us to take these at a case-by-case basis.
Dr. Sutherland?
Are you doing any bridge classes? Historically, we used to leverage the,
Yes, so we continue to allow that to be an option that the campuses can use. However, we are down tremendously from previous years. That is one of the things that was brought to my attention 2 years ago, and we continue to work to bring those down.
Karen?
thank you.
And that would be another, when we're doing the leveling process, we always have the ability to, with our students who are over the 22, there could have been options where we could have created more bridges, and we chose not to do that, whereas keep a student, one or two students, within their grade level instead of causing a teacher to have to teach just one or two third grade students when they have mostly fourth grade, just to keep in compliance. So we take all of that in consideration, and when Ms. Rincon says we go teacher by teacher, this process takes us days. And we pull up, we double check with focus with the schools. At times we call, and we speak to the principal, we look at our DL program, our RP program, and I mean, it's a very thorough process.
And we have actually decreased the number of bridges by more than half. From 2015-16, we were at 75, and this year we are projecting 35 bridges.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you all. Are you through, Dr. Sutherland? Okay. Thank you all. Any other questions? Seeing and hearing none. Guess what we get to do? Eat some food. No, they can go out, and they go out.
Fort Worth ISD is promoting college readiness in an even bigger way this year. We are competing in the FAFSA Race to Submit. Beginning October 15th, every student who is planning to go to college or even thinking about going to college will want to be sure to fill out a FAFSA form. FAFSA stands for Free Application for Federal Student Aid. It's the document that determines a student's eligibility for federal financial aid for college, which may include grants, scholarships, work study, and loans. But it's not just about financial need.
And those opportunities for you as a student are quite remarkable.
Completing the FAFSA should be top priority for every college-going student. You can't receive any college or university-sponsored scholarship money if you don't.
What they're going to do is take the best scores of each section.
And that's where the FAFSA Race to Submit comes in. Every Fort Worth ISD student who completes the process will receive a specially designed t-shirt. Individual schools will award all kinds of other prizes. The campuses with the highest percentage of increase in FAFSA completions each month from now until April will receive a recognition banner for their school. Your high school college coaches are available on your campus to help you complete the FAFSA, and will provide financial aid help sessions during the months of October and November. Let the race to submit begin. Thousands of students, each one unique. Are you looking for a middle school experience as individual as you are? Then keep watching. Some notable graduates of Fort Worth ISD are with me in the studio to tell you about Gold Seal programs and schools of choice. The next 3 minutes could change your life.
Gold Seal is all about finding the pathway that matches your interests, your skills, and your goals. Gold Seal categories, where do I start? There's academics, engineering, applied learning. Jeff, what else is on the list?
There's medical, fine arts, world languages, and more. Something for everyone.
And something really special with real-world learning that engages you and elevates your learning.
Several middle school programs even provide opportunities for you to interact with students on the high school level and continue your pathway when you reach high school.
Even if you're years away from deciding on a career or a college major, middle school programs and schools of choice will prepare you for success in college, career, and life.
You know, I really see the Gold Seal program as a pipeline. I would, though, I'm an engineer. But they really are a pipeline to supply companies with a well-prepared workforce.
If you're interested in the engineering pipeline, there are several excellent middle school programs to choose from.
Programs that emphasize robotics, science, and math, and prepare you to continue your pathway and pipeline in high school.
My pathway, broadcast journalism and media technology. That was me a few years ago telling how my Gold Seal program helped me get a great college scholarship. Now I can say that right out of college, I got a great job too. I'm a major market TV news photojournalist.
The district also has 2 outstanding single-gender schools. That's me, going into the Young Women's Leadership Academy as an 8th grader. The support I received from the YWLA teachers and students was awesome. Now I'm here at Texas A&M, where I'm majoring in political science.
We go to YMLA. That's the Young Men's Leadership Academy.
Oh wow, that was 7th grade. And now we're in high school, still loving YMLA.
And learning all we need for success.
I want to be a pediatric heart surgeon. I remember how excited I was starting out at TAPS, the Texas Academy of Biomedical Sciences. Now I'm living my dream as a college student here at the University of North Texas, majoring in biology and about to apply to grad school.
What's your favorite subject? What problem do you want to help solve? We've got a Gold Seal program that's just right for you. It's your choice. Learn more at fwisd.org/choice or call 817-814-2580. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and all our social media.
Learning a concept isn't enough for students at the Applied Learning Academy, or ALA. They put it to the test.
We tested plants for bacteria.
Through team-based projects, 6th through 8th graders tackle problems in the community.
I've been studying the water quality of the Trinity River.
From science to technology to creative arts. ALA is all about drawing the best out of students.
You might want to put a little yellow on the tip.
And relating skills to the real world.
Oh, absolutely. I think that's a great idea.
Local businesses and nonprofits work with ALA to reinforce classroom teaching in off-campus locations. Students develop the leadership and social skills that will make them truly college and career ready. Learn it, apply it, understand it at Fort Worth ISD's Applied Learning Academy.
The Applied Learning Academy is perfect for me. I absolutely love it here.
Learn more at fwisd.org/choice or call 817-814-2580. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and all our social media.
So are you saying it has no limits anywhere?
Begin now charting a direct course to your chosen college or university and pick up college credits along the way.
We're going to be doing a lab on species diversity.
Fort Worth ISD's Advanced Academic Scholars Academies challenge students to dig deep in pre-AP, AP, and dual credit courses.
Yeah, 358 from 456, which gave you $98.
This Gold Seal choice translates perfectly for high-achieving college-bound students, rewarding them not only with college hours, but also new worlds to explore and strong leadership and communication skills.
Which are you testing for?
I'm testing for phosphorus.
You'll find Advanced Academic Scholars Academies at these Fort Worth ISD high schools: Arlington Heights, Heights Academy; Northside, Scholars Academy; Pascal, Advanced Accelerated Academy; and Western Hills, Cougar Academy, featuring International Baccalaureate.
Does somebody know how to do good knots? Welcome to college level physics, right?
Learn more at fwisd.org/choice or call 817-814-2580. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and all our social media.
If you like caring for animals, growing things, or finding ways to conserve natural resources, then take a look at Fort Worth ISD's Gold Seal Agriculture and Horticulture Program of Choice.
My husband and I raise beef cattle.
Raise animals and find out what it takes to keep them healthy. Learn the science and business of the changing livestock production industry. And get a grip on interesting career options in this field.
And then you'll put more dirt around
You'll dig into the art and science of soil and plants.
Make sure the roots are
Learn your way around a nursery and create landscape designs for the great outdoors.
It's going to get weight.
Just kind of going across the top.
It's your choice at Arlington Heights, Heights Agriculture, Animal, and Veterinary Sciences.
It teaches responsibilities. It's a really good program.
Learn more at fwisd.org/choice or call 817-814-2580. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and all our social media.
Want a high school experience that moves you?
How does your character move?
Explore the I Am Terrell Academy for STEM and VPA.
This down arrow brings this forward.
On the STEM side, students innovate, design, and problem solve in a high-tech makerspace. Coursework includes advanced levels of math and science, in preparation for college and careers in engineering and computer science. Opportunities to earn college hours, field trips, and community partnerships elevate the experience.
Ready and go.
VPA students blend academics with intensive training in the arts, in state-of-the-art studios, practice rooms, a black box theater, and an amazing performance hall.
Ready and go.
Support from the local arts community provides unique opportunities as students prepare for college scholarship auditions and artistic careers.
Take the art to the next level.
Students also participate in the Cowan Humanities Academy,
In what way is he repeating it? Because
a college prep level study that transforms English, social studies, and Latin classes.
start realizing how you use your body.
The I Am Terrell Academy for STEM and VPA, shaping innovators, artists, and lifelong learners.
So you're designing a 3D hand over here.
Learn more at fwisd.org/choice or call 817-814-2580. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and all our social media.
More than 87,000 students, each one unique. Are you looking for a high school education as individual as you are? Then keep watching. Some notable graduates of Fort Worth ISD are with me in the studio to tell you about Gold Seal programs and schools of choice. The next 3 minutes could change your life.
Gold Seal is all about finding the pathway that matches your interests, your skills, and your goals. Gold Seal categories, where do I start? There's engineering, aviation, early college, high school, broadcast journalism, culinary arts. Jeff, help me out.
There's health science, world languages, fine arts, government and law, digital gaming, and more. A lot more. Something for everyone.
And something really special with on-the-job, real-world learning, classes taught on college campuses, and opportunities for internships, licenses, certifications, and college credits. Lots of college credits.
A great example, early college high schools. These programs give you the opportunity to graduate with a high school diploma and your associate degree, tuition free.
And you can earn college credits several ways, depending on the program you choose. However you do it, you can potentially save thousands of dollars in college costs.
And if you need to work to pay for college, Gold Seal programs are really golden. Take the aviation program. Students can earn hours toward their airframe mechanic certification and college credits all at the same time.
Why is this a big deal? Think about it. Wouldn't you rather have a job that pays about $18 an hour instead of $8?
You know, I really see the Gold Seal program as a pipeline. I would, though I'm an engineer. But they really are a pipeline to supply companies with a well-prepared workforce.
If you're interested in the engineering pipeline, there are several great Gold Seal programs to choose from. Programs that emphasize advanced academics, especially math and science.
Among them, our new I Am Terrell Academy for STEM and Visual and Performing Arts. That's a learning opportunity at the highest level.
Bottom line, the pathway you choose will engage you, challenge you, and give you a head start on your bright future.
My pathway, broadcast journalism and media technology. That was me a few years ago, telling you how my Gold Seal program helped me get a great college scholarship. Now I can say that right out of college, I got a great job too. I'm a major market TV news photojournalist.
The district also has 2 outstanding single-gender schools. That's me, going into the Young Women's Leadership Academy as an 8th grader. The support I received from the YWLA staff and students was awesome. Now I'm here at Texas A&M, where I'm majoring in political science.
We go to YMLA. That's the Young Men's Leadership Academy.
Oh wow, that was 7th grade. And now we're in high school, still loving YMLA.
And learning all we need for success.
I want to be a pediatric heart surgeon. I remember how excited I was starting out at TAPS, the Texas Academy of Biomedical Sciences. Now I'm living my dream as a college student here at the University of North Texas, majoring in biology and about to apply to grad school.
What's your dream career? What problem do you want to help solve? We've got a Gold Seal program to get you there. It's your choice. Learn more at fwisd.org/choice or call 817-814-2580. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and all our social media.
In accordance with open meetings law, this board opened the meeting at 5:30 PM in this boardroom with a quorum present, recessed and reconvened open session in the board conference room, adjourned regular session, convened executive session, adjourned executive session, and now reconvened open session at 8:27 PM in the boardroom with a quorum present. Do I have a motion accepting the consent agenda items? Moved by Trustee Moss, seconded by Trustee Robbins. Any discussion? Seeing and hearing none, please move to voting. And consent agenda passes unanimously. Moving 15 action items. 15A, waive first reading and approve board policy ELA local. Do I have a motion? Moved by Trustee Needham, seconded by Trustee Sims. Any discussion? Trustee Paz.
I will try not to be too long, but I cannot make any promises. So we're voting, or we are considering whether or not to waive the first reading and adopting this policy. And I have had the opportunity to visit this afternoon with Superintendent Scribner about my hesitation for adopting any policy or waiving a first reading on any policy, but especially one like this where we have, it's a big decision to make. So I've asked, let him know that I wanted him to explain on the record why we will be waiving the policy, or why we are considering waiving the policy for this reading tonight, which has helped me. So that's it.
Sure. President Jackson, Trustee Paz, members of the board. So as we spoke about earlier, the policy was scheduled to come to the board on September the 25th. In fact, TASB recommended a model of this policy that was in the queue for the board to consider on the 25th. The TEA indicated to us prior to the 25th that they had developed an updated version of that TASB policy with features that would be required in order to qualify for Senate Bill 1882 funding. Senate Bill 1882 funding would allow the district to tap into an additional approximately $1,900 per student. So when we talk about our leadership academies that cost an additional $1 million to operate, if you have 500 students in that school, an additional $1,900 per student, that goes a long way to covering those additional expenditures so that those schools can that we can sustain their success over time. This action also does not enter into any contract with any educational provider. What we're talking about here is the opportunity to explore district charter hybrids, where our charter providers operate inside of the domain of the district, as you saw earlier with regard to our demographic patterns, where almost 9,000 or approximately 9,000 students who live within Fort Worth ISD are selecting private schools or parochial schools or charter schools. Here's an opportunity for us not to put our head in the sand and hope that that trend stops, but rather to offer options for our students. The system of great schools attempts to create a system whereby there is a high quality seat in every corner of the city and every zip code. As you saw, Maud Logan is now a letter grade B school. John T. White is a letter grade B school. All of our leadership academies have seen dramatic increase. The board in this policy can set restraints, can set limitations on the kinds of practices a service provider can employ to achieve performance goals, just as the board sets constraints under the Lone Star governance model for itself and for the superintendent. So with that, the action we would ask you to consider and approve would be to approve this policy so that we could continue to explore that opportunity with TEA. TEA does have some timelines that require that if we are going to pursue this possibly for the 1920 school year, that we stay on track.
And as a reminder, we are waiving the first reading and approving Board Policy ELA Local. This has been moved by Trustee Needham and seconded by Trustee Sims. We had comment by Trustee Paz. Any other comments? Seeing and hearing none, please move to voting. And the motion passes unanimously. At this time, we're going to move to 16, comments by board members or the superintendent. Do we have any comments by board members? Trustee Robbins.
Thank you, President Jackson. I was made aware this afternoon that our students are competing very favorably with other students around the country. The World Languages Institute won a silver award from America's Best Urban Schools. There was also a student there who was the speech contest winner, Melanie Rodriguez, and another student there who was an outstanding volunteer as named by this organization, and her name is Adriana Camacho Roldan. So we're very proud of the work that's being done at the World Languages Institute. It's still not a full high school yet. It will be shortly. So there's more goodness to come, but I wanted everyone to be aware of that. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Robbins. Anybody else? Okay, we'll move to the back to consider the Level 3 grievance. and we're adjourned.